1. Staring at blank walls. Let's talk about the absolute terror you feel when your beloved companion suddenly freezes and locks its eyes onto absolutely nothing. Where exactly does this happen? Usually in the most dimly lit, quiet corner of your living room or bedroom, right when you are trying to relax and feeling the most vulnerable. If we look back at the origins of this creepy fixation, it traces deeply back to the catastrophic natural and man-made events that wiped out ancient societies. Think about the massive earthquakes that leveled ancient Greek cities, or the sudden structural collapses of ancient Egyptian temples built on shifting sands. The animals that survived those historical disasters were the ones capable of detecting microscopic shifts in their environment. Their senses were perfectly tuned to pick up the invisible precursors to absolute ruin. To put the size of what they are looking at into perspective, imagine a single grain of fine sea salt sitting alone on a vast, dark dinner plate. That is the visual equivalent of the anomaly your pet has just detected on your wall. You will see their posture stiffen into rigid stone, their fur puff up slightly with static energy, and their eyes dilate into massive, unblinking black orbs that reflect the ambient light of the room. Surprisingly, the power is their biological ability to see directly into the ultraviolet spectrum and hear the high-frequency vibrations of solid matter. They are witnessing light trails left by insects and structural groans inside the drywall that are completely invisible and inaudible to the human eye. If we tone this danger down for humans, it would be like suddenly hearing a faint, annoying, high-pitched ringing in your ears after attending a loud concert, brief, slightly jarring, but physically harmless. But what it actually does to you and your home environment is far more psychologically damaging. It introduces a creeping, relentless paranoia into your sanctuary. Your pet will wait in absolute silence. They spot the invisible movement hidden within the architecture. They prepare to ambush whatever microscopic threat or vibrating electrical wire is hidden behind the paint. They attack the very foundation of your peace of mind by making you feel actively hunted in your own home. As a human, you endure the terrifying sensation that you are not alone in the room, constantly looking over your shoulder to see the unseen spirit or threat that has captured your apex predator's attention. But the bizarre and unexpected behavior that turns this all upside down is that they aren't always tracking pests or structural decay. Sometimes, their complex brains are simply hallucinating movement due to sensory overload, meaning they are staring intensely at a total glitch in their own biological software. If you think a pet glitching out over nothing is weird, the next one is even weirder and involves the one thing keeping them alive. 2. Pawing at the water bowl before drinking. Let's talk about the incredibly strange and messy ritual your pet performs right before they take a simple drink. Where exactly does this take place? Right in your kitchen or hallway, hovering over a perfectly clean, still bowl of fresh tap water. To understand this, we have to discuss the catastrophic natural events that wiped out ancient societies, specifically the massive, devastating droughts and stagnant, poisoned water supplies that collapsed early Mesopotamian settlements. The pets that lived alongside our ancestors learned that drinking standing, still water meant absolute death from bacteria and parasites. They had to strike the water to check for flow, ensuring it was a safe, moving river rather than a toxic puddle. Today, the size of the splash they create is roughly the volume of a standard tennis ball exploding out of the bowl and onto your pristine floors. You will notice their paws tapping the surface in a frantic, rhythmic motion, splashing droplets that sparkle like shattered glass, testing the surface tension. Surprisingly, the power is advanced hydrosensory manipulation and reflection testing. They are literally using the ripples to measure the depth of the water and checking to see if any hidden predators are lurking just beneath the surface. If we tone this danger down for humans, it would be exactly like cautiously splashing your face with cold water from a sink before fully submerging your head, a mild, refreshing shock to wake you up. But what it actually does to your house is where the localized terror begins. They aggressively attack the water supply. They chase the moving ripples as if they are live prey. They wait for the water to settle, spot the reflection, and then strike again with rapid precision. It completely destroys your hard floors, warping wood and creating massive slipping hazards for the humans trying to navigate the kitchen. You endure a constant cycle of mopping up muddy paw prints and refilling the very bowl they just emptied onto the floor. But the bizarre and unexpected behavior that completely flips this instinct is that some pets aren't testing for safety at all. They are just striking the water because they prefer the taste of the oxygenated bubbles that form when the surface is violently broken. This means they are purposefully ruining your floor just for a slightly fresher sip of water. As annoying as a wet floor is, the next one is a far more dangerous display of raw, explosive speed. 3. Sudden midnight zoomies. Let's talk about the terrifying explosion of pure, unadulterated kinetic energy that possesses your pet in the dead of night. Where exactly does this strike? Usually starting at the foot of your bed and violently echoing down the longest, darkest hallway of your house. To make sense of this madness, we must look at the catastrophic natural events that wiped out ancient societies, such as the sudden, violent volcanic eruptions that completely buried cities like Pompeii. When the sky fell and ash rained down, the animals that survived were the ones capable of instantaneous, explosive acceleration without any warm-up. They needed to go from a deep slumber to a dead sprint in less than a second. The size of this chaotic force tearing through your house is roughly equivalent to a runaway, heavy bowling ball bouncing off your furniture in complete darkness. You will hear the frantic scratching of claws on hardwood, see their bodies lowered low to the ground in an aerodynamic tuck, and their eyes wide with sheer, primal adrenaline. The real power is their rapid biochemical acceleration, dumping massive amounts of stored cortisol and energy directly into their bloodstream in a fraction of a heartbeat. If we tone this danger down for humans, it would be like suddenly stubbing your toe on a doorframe. A quick, sharp burst of unexpected pain and panic that fades quickly. But what it actually does to humans sleeping peacefully in their beds is highly disruptive. They ambush your sleep cycle. They attack the carpets, ripping up the fibers. They chase invisible ghosts through the dining room and spot imaginary predators in the reflections of the windows. They inflict damage by turning your living space into a high-speed racetrack, knocking over fragile items and completely shattering the silence of the night. Humans endure racing hearts, disrupted REM sleep, and the sudden fear that an intruder has broken into the home. But the bizarre and unexpected behavior that makes this phenomenon so crazy is that they almost always conclude this violent display of energy by suddenly dropping to the floor, instantly falling back into a deep, peaceful sleep within seconds, completely abandoning the adrenaline rush they just created. If their explosive speed startles you, the next behavior will completely invade your personal space. 4. Intensely sniffing your breath. Let's talk about the incredibly invasive moment your pet climbs onto your chest, pins you down, and deeply inhales the air coming directly from your lungs. Where exactly does this happen? Usually right on your face, inches from your nose, while you are lying perfectly still on the couch or just waking up in the morning. This behavior is deeply tied to the catastrophic events that wiped out ancient societies, particularly the brutal, unseen plagues, pestilences, and viral outbreaks that decimated medieval cities. Back then, medical technology didn't exist, and humans relied on animals with highly sensitive olfactory glands to detect the chemical changes of illness before a person even showed symptoms. The size of the chemical compounds they are analyzing is smaller than a single, microscopic speck of floating dust in a sunbeam. You will feel their cold, wet nose pressing against your lips, their nostrils flaring rhythmically, and their eyes staring directly into your soul as they process the data. Surprisingly, the power is microscopic biochemical decoding. They possess up to 300 million olfactory receptors, allowing them to literally smell your internal blood sugar levels, your emotional stress hormones, and the early stages of cellular decay inside your body. If we tone this danger down for humans, it would be like smelling a faint, slightly unpleasant odor from a piece of stale bread, mildly gross but easy to ignore. But what it actually does to you is incredibly unnerving and invasive. They ambush your personal bubble. They wait for you to exhale. They spot the chemical changes in your body and chase the scent deep into your respiratory system. They inflict psychological damage by making you acutely hyper-aware of your own biology. As a human, you endure the terrifying thought that your pet might actually be smelling a hidden disease, a sudden hormonal shift, or a rising stress level that you haven't even registered yet. But the bizarre and unexpected behavior that turns everything upside down is that sometimes they aren't checking your health at all. They are just intensely analyzing your breath to figure out exactly what you ate for lunch without them, judging you for not sharing. 5. Randomly hiding under the bed. Let's talk about the unsettling moment you realize your pet has completely vanished, only to find them wedged into the darkest, dustiest space in your home. Where exactly does this take place? Deep in the cavernous, shadowy void beneath your mattress, surrounded by forgotten storage boxes and lint. To comprehend this, we must examine the catastrophic natural and man-made events that wiped out ancient societies, such as massive aerial bombardments during historical wars or devastating asteroid strikes that forced early mammals underground. When the sky became a zone of absolute destruction, the only way to survive was to compress the body into the smallest, darkest subterranean space available. The size of the space they squeeze into is often no larger than a standard cardboard shoebox. You will notice their body curled into a tight, defensive sphere, their breathing completely silenced, and their eyes reflecting the faint light like two glowing embers in a cave. The real power is advanced spatial compression and thermal cloaking. They can dislocate their collarbones or compress their rib cages to flatten themselves into impossibly tight spaces, simultaneously lowering their body temperature to become virtually undetectable. If we tone this danger down for humans, it would be like casually playing a game of hide and seek with a toddler, a harmless, playful search around the living room. But what it does to humans in reality is heavily panic-inducing. They ambush your schedule. They wait in absolute silence while you frantically search the house. They attack your stress levels as you begin to fear they have escaped out the front door or gotten severely injured. They inflict damage on your day, forcing you to crawl on your hands and knees, desperately shaking bags of treats. You endure the panic of losing your best friend, sweating and calling their name to no avail. But the bizarre and unexpected behavior that makes this so frustrating is that while you are having a total meltdown tearing the house apart, they are fully awake, watching you panic from the shadows, and actively choosing not to respond because the space is just too comfortable to leave. As isolating as the shadows can be, the next behavior brings the terror right to the window glass. 6. Chattering at the window. Let's talk about the incredibly creepy, rapid-fire clicking noise your pet makes when staring out the glass. Where exactly does this occur? At the transparent barrier of your living room window, usually aimed high up into the branches of a nearby tree. This strange biological response links back to the catastrophic natural events that wiped out ancient societies, particularly the brutal, prolonged famines that starved massive empires and turned predators completely mad with desperation. When early wildcats and hunting animals saw prey they could not physically reach due to environmental barriers, their brains short-circuited into a terrifying display of frustrated predatory instinct. The size of the prey they are usually staring at is the size of an ordinary, fragile light bulb, a small bird, or a passing squirrel. You will see their jaw rapidly vibrating, their teeth clacking together in a rhythmic, mechanical stutter, and their tail thrashing violently behind them like a whip. Surprisingly, the power is sonic predatory mimicry and neurological overload. The chattering is actually a highly evolved bite-kill reflex. They are practicing the exact neck-breaking bite force required to sever the spinal cord of their prey, vibrating their jaw at the precise frequency of the fatal strike. If we tone this danger down for humans, it would be exactly like your teeth chattering on a mild winter day when a cold breeze hits you, uncomfortable, automatic, but completely harmless. But what it does to the prey, and how it sounds to humans, is deeply unsettling. They wait for the bird to land. They spot the target through the glass. They attack the invisible barrier, their minds fully convinced they are landing the killing blow. They inflict psychological terror, transforming from your sweet, cuddly companion into a cold, calculating biological killing machine right in front of your eyes. Humans endure the creepy realization that if that glass wasn't there, a brutal massacre would occur on the living room rug. But the bizarre and unexpected behavior that turns this completely upside down is that some researchers believe the chattering is actually an attempt to mimic the chirping sounds of the bird itself, a dark psychological trick designed to lure the prey closer to their doom. If fake chirping is dark, the next one involves actual, physical evidence of the hunt. 7. Bringing you dead animals. Let's talk about the horrific moment you step onto your porch and find a fresh, lifeless corpse waiting for you. Where exactly does this morbid delivery happen? Usually placed exactly where you are guaranteed to step on it, right on your welcome mat, your pillow, or directly inside your favorite pair of shoes. This gruesome behavior echoes the catastrophic events that wiped out ancient societies, specifically the desperate rituals of offering blood sacrifices to appease angry gods or ruthless rulers during times of societal collapse. In the wild, providing a fresh kill to the leader of the pack was the ultimate act of submission and tribute to ensure the survival of the tribe. The size of the macabre gift is usually the size of a standard computer mouse, limp and covered in dirt. You will see the lifeless form surrounded by a few loose feathers or a tiny drop of blood, while your pet sits proudly beside it, expecting massive praise. The real power is their macabre tribute collection and apex stealth hunting. They have flawlessly tracked, stalked, and executed a wild animal without you ever hearing a single sound. If we tone this danger down for humans, it would be like a friend proudly handing you a slightly crushed, melted candy bar they found at the bottom of their bag. Gross, but a well-meaning gesture. But what it does to you in reality is physically revolting and biologically hazardous. They chase the prey through the mud. They ambush the rodent in the dark. They attack with lethal precision. They inflict damage by bringing dangerous parasites, fleas, and wild diseases directly into your pristine living space. You endure the terrifying, nauseating task of grabbing a plastic bag and disposing of a warm corpse before your morning coffee, trying not to vomit. But the bizarre and unexpected behavior that flips this terrifying scenario is that they don't bring you the dead animal because they respect you as the alpha. They bring it to you because they view you as a pathetic, incompetent hunter who is entirely incapable of surviving without their charity. While being judged as a terrible hunter is insulting, the final behavior is the ultimate invasion of your vulnerable moments. 8. Refusing to let you use the bathroom alone. Let's talk about the incredibly relentless anxiety your pet feels the second you close the bathroom door. Where exactly does this take place? Right outside the hinges, with paws aggressively swiping under the narrow crack of the door while you sit on the toilet. To understand this ultimate breach of privacy, we have to look back at the catastrophic man-made events that wiped out ancient societies, specifically the political assassinations and violent ambushes that frequently occurred in Roman bathhouses or vulnerable sanitation areas. In the wild, eliminating waste is the single most vulnerable position an animal can be in. It is when they are most likely to be attacked and slaughtered by a rival predator. The size of the space they demand to occupy is as close as your own shadow, right at your ankles. You will hear them crying, scratching the paint off the wood, and staring deeply into your eyes while you try to handle your business. Surprisingly, the power is their ultimate pack-guarding instinct and spatial perimeter defense. They are acting as your personal bodyguard, hyper-scanning the tiled bathroom for any incoming threats while your pants are literally down. If we tone this danger down for humans, it would be like an annoying younger sibling following you around the house asking constant questions, irritating but entirely harmless. But what it actually does to your daily life is highly restrictive. They chase you down the hall. They wait for the door handle to turn. They attack the barrier if you lock them out. They inflict psychological damage by completely eliminating any sense of solitude or peace you have in your own home. You endure the awkwardness of having a staring contest with a furry creature while you use the restroom, completely destroying the concept of personal privacy. But the bizarre and unexpected behavior that turns this all upside down is that they aren't just guarding you, they fully expect you to return the favor and stand guard for them while they use their litter box or go out in the yard, demanding mutual bathroom security. We have reached the end of our journey exploring every creepy reason your pet stares at nothing explained.